Hello everyone! I hope you're ready for another adventure because today Wayne finishes reading The Watchdog and the Coyotes by Bill Wallace. As always, when we're going along with the story, if you want to follow along with the words, all you have to do is press the CC button in your YouTube link. In that way, you'll be able to practice reading with us. Since we've had so many adventures with him, I wanted to invite the best boy back to help us finish this story. Hello, Red! We've had a lot of great adventures, and I'm so happy that we were able to finally take care of the Coyotes. Are you ready to finish this story? Red's ready, so let's jump in. Chapter 14. Red was a little sore and stiff for a couple of days. Pooky went around coughing and spitting and complained how bad coyotes tasted. I couldn't help but notice the little twinkle in his eye each time he griped about it, though. For the next 3 weeks of life was calm and peaceful. We played together when our masters were at work. At night, we either slept together in my big doghouse or enjoyed the peace and quiet of sleeping alone in our own yards. Then, one afternoon, I heard a rattling sound by my back gate. The hair bristled in a sharp ridge down my back. My muscles tightened. I watched. A man opened the gate and peeked in. He wore a black stocking cap. Without a sound, I eased to my feet. I had to lean down to see out of my doghouse because I was too tall that my head almost touched the ceiling. The man shut the gate behind him and started across my yard. Then his eyes fall on my huge house. He must have seen me watching. Suddenly he froze. He didn't move. He didn't tremble. He didn't even budge. I eased through the doorway and walked on stiff legs towards him. As I neared, he handed out one hand, offering his knuckles for me to sniff. Although he wore a black cap like a burglar, he was not the same man. His face was different, and his smell was not the same as that of the thief who came the night before. "Nice dog," his voice quivered. "Nice dog. I hope you're a good dog." The smell of fear was strong. It hurt my nose, but at the same time it made me feel big and strong. I followed him as he eased his way to the back of my master's house. There he moved aside a bush with the back of his hand and looked down at something. I watched. "I'm just reading the electric meter," he assured me, looking down at the glass thing that stuck up from the pipes in the back of the house. "Nice dog. I'm not going to bother anybody. Good puppy." He took a sharp-pointed thing out of his pocket and scratched down on a pad. Then he let go of the bush and moved slowly away. I watched. I didn't follow him. His smell of fear was simply that of a smell of fear. There was no sneaky taste to it. There was nothing sly or evil about the way he moved. He slipped through the gate at the back of my fence and closed it behind. Pooky came over this afternoon. He was excited and happy because his master had finally gotten him a new chewy bone. When Red crawled through the hole from his side of the fence, Pooky offered to share his new chewy bone with us. He was so proud of his new bone that Red and I just didn't have the heart to get slobbers all over it. We decided to let Pooky chew on the new bone of his before we shared it. It was early spring when trouble came to visit. It came at night, just as it had before. I lay in my doghouse with my paws folded, resting my chin on them, where they draped over the edge of my floor. There was a sound at the back fence. My ears perked. I watched. A black stocking cap appeared at the top of my fence. There was a clunk of a man's foot on the bottom rail. He climbed over the fence. I watched. The man was dressed in black. His shirt was black, and he wore black pants and black gloves. For a moment he hesitated and looked around. I watched. Boldly, he walked across the yard, straight to my doghouse. "Hi, you dumb mutt," he smelled. "You remember me?" "I remember you. You're the same dog who was here last time I broke into this place." The smell of fear came from him. It was not the simple kind of fear. This was the same sly, sneaky smell that came from the man when he stole things from my master's house. It was the same sneaky smell that came from the coyotes when they stole our food. It was the same smell of fear that came when someone did something they knew was wrong, and they were afraid that they might get caught. I felt the hair stand up on the head of my back. I eased to my feet. I may look like the same dog, I said, but I'm not. You better get out of my master's yard. But I guess people don't understand dog. The man walked to the back door and started jiggling the doorknob. I walked right up behind him. Figure it's been long enough since I was here last for your folks inside to collect their insurance money and buy all new stuff. The man's voice was sneaky as his smell. I warned you, I growled. You better leave. You'd better not rob my master's house again. He gave me a funny look when I growled at him. But even with my second warning, I guess he still didn't understand. Beat it, mutt, he said. I'm busy. Bet the guy's got a new VCR TV and knew everything. He looked at a long black bar that he carried. He pushed it into the side of the door to pry it open. I shrugged my ears. All right, tried to warn you. Blue lights flashed. Weird, funny shadows danced across my yard. A tall man, leaned in a blue uniform, stood beside my master. He scratched his head and looked at me. I smiled back. Then I turned to my master. I can't figure it out, Mr. Schaefer. The man said, your neighbors called us. They reported hearing screams, like someone was being killed. Before you got home, we checked the premises. There's a mark on your back door, as if someone tried to break in with a crowbar or something. We found a plant leg from a pair of black slacks hanging on your back fence, but that's all we found. Mr. Schaefer looked at me and scratched his head. Officer, may I borrow your flashlight for a moment? The policeman handed Mr. Schaefer his light and followed him to my doghouse. My master dropped to one knee and shone the light inside. In the back corner of my house were my trophies, my reminders that I wasn't really a bully if I fought to protect something for myself or my friends. See anything? The policeman leaned down next to him. Mr. Schaefer almost laughed. Not much, just a coyote tail, a crowbar, and a black stocking cap. The policeman chuckled as he got to his feet. Looks like an attempted burglary. Your dog must have ran the thief off before he could get back into the house. Looks like you've got yourself one heck of a watchdog there, Mr. Schaefer. My master grunted as he got to his feet. He handed the officer his flashlight, then he came over and started patting my head. Best watchdog a man could ever want, he bragged. Sweetie, you're some watchdog. This time, when my master said that word watchdog, that was exactly what he meant. I felt so big and proud that could have popped. My tail began to wag. It almost knocked the policeman down. It pounded against the side of my doghouse, like someone beating on brass drums. You're some watchdog. My master's words drummed in my ears even louder than my tail drummed against my doghouse. There were the words I had always wanted to hear, more than anything else in the world. Watchdog. The word made my chest fill with pride. My tail wagged harder. Suddenly, my whole back end was wagging. Then, my middle and even my shoulders wagged. I wasn't wagging my tail. My tail was wagging me. Even my ears began to flop. Finally, I was a watchdog. That was an amazing end to Sweetie's story and our adventure with him. Thank you for being here for our final tale with the amazing story that you were a part of, Red. It's been so much fun getting to know you. I can't wait to see you again. Take care, my friend. And we hope you take care. And thank you for joining us on this adventure here with Wayne Reads. Hopefully, we'll see you again for the next one. Bye-bye.